May they all rest in peace. At this time, I'd like to bring up the first speaker. We got quite a few to get through here. I'd like to bring up my sidekick of many years and a good friend. He is now our borough manager. He's also an assistant chief for the borough, number one. Ray Jones has a few words to say.
Very few words to say. I'd just like to thank the members of the American Hose Company on behalf of the residents of the borough of Ashland for their hard work and dedication, and also another forgotten group, the American Hose Company Ladies Auxiliary, for all their hard work.
Thank you, Ray. Now, if you see Ray running off into the sunset, it's not that he doesn't like us, but it's prom day. Remember those days? My dear friends, in 1993, we were here to celebrate the housing of the first piers coming to the borough. Here we are in 2014 celebrating the canary yellow piers. We'll talk about the color later. Back in 1981, was that the wind racer? Back in 1981, we had the convention. As we were selling our mugs and registration right here at the firehouse, a gentleman stopped by. He said, he introduced himself as a salesman for another fire company, or another fire truck manufacturer. His name was Clarence Long. And we'd just taken delivery of the FMC. He said, let me see what your truck looks like. He went in, gave it a once over. He came out, he shook my hand. He said, I wish you good luck with it. Maybe down the road we can do business. Well, from that day forward, Clarence and I would always look each other up when I went to the fire expo with our kids. We remained friends for many years. In 1993, we became a customer. He was the salesman that helped us lay out that beautiful truck over there. My dear friends, I am honored to bring back to you, many years later, our good friend, Clarence Long.
I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me back to the borough of Ashland. You're very kind people, and you don't realize how much this means to me standing here at this very moment. In 1978, we made some trips to Sullivan County. And as I came into the borough, we turned left on 61. And we've done that for many times on our trips to Sullivan County. And one day I said to my wife, I want to see all of Ashland. I don't want to just drive through a small section of it. And we drove down the streets and looked around, and I saw the churches and the homes, the fire companies, and I said, there's something unique about Ashland, not knowing that someday my words will actually come true. There is something unique about how kind you people are, how hardworking you are, and you can be proud. As a friend of the Grody's, I had a house in Lancaster County, and one day the doorbell rang. And I went to answer it, and standing there was Philip Grody. He came down to Lancaster County because I think his wife had a sister there, correct? And he was kind enough, again, I'll use that word a lot, to come and say hello to me after he came to Lancaster County. And that's how our friendship grew, and it just kept growing. And to me, Phil is a genuine, just a quality gentleman. But it doesn't stop there. You'll think, how do I remember Ashland? Well, in my long years of the fire service, at 16 I became a volunteer in a small town, eventually a paid firefighter, and then a salesman for a fire apparatus manufacturer. So I asked my wife, could one room be dedicated to memorabilia? If you would see all the things that with the pictures, the mugs, all the things that I accumulate over the years. And every time I go in and dust off that bookcase and I pick up that yellow mug, and there it says, American Hose Company on one side and Washington on the other. I just can't forget Ashland. It just stays in my mind. And in final, I'd like to say this. When I stopped at Brody's house one day and met his family, his daughter was selling something. And she said, Clarence, I'm selling little Santa Clauses. Would you like to buy one for me for the project? And I went, oh my goodness gracious, I would love to. And from that day on, in the Long residence, every Christmas, this little Santa Claus gets set at a prominent place so everyone can see it. In closing, I'm going to say, be proud of what you have. You're terrific people, and thanks again for the invitation.
Thank you, Clarence. As we know, we bought a used Pierce, and we didn't have the opportunity and the funding to buy new, but our good friends at Parkland took care of us on that. But in keeping with the Pierce theme, the local representative, once Clarence retired, Buddy Strauss took over this territory representing Glick, who was the Pierce dealer. And it would only be fitting, and another, again, a friend, a Buddy we have known for a long, long time. We would like Buddy to come up and say a few words.
I too, like Clarence, would just like to say thank you very much for this opportunity to be part of your celebration today, representing both Pierce and Glick Fire Equipment and the celebration of your 1996 Lance as an addition to the family here. I got to know Phil and many others within the fire company through Clarence over the years. I don't live that far away from here. I live over in Lehighton, and but my territory stopped at the Carbon County Schuylkill line. But I trained under Clarence for several years when I first got started in this business, and in doing so, when we were at shows and different things together, I got to meet a lot of Clarence's customers, and Phil and his crew of the American Hose Company. I got to meet several of you and have developed a relationship over the years. And as Clarence said, it's a very special relationship here in Ashland. I just want to wish you a lot of success, and you have a new piece of equipment here, and I'm sure it's going to serve you well. And again, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to be part of the celebration. Thank you.
Again, thank you to both of you gentlemen for making the trip and taking the time and coming to visit us. Okay, we're going to run through our thank you list real quick, folks. I'd like to acknowledge our judges for today. For the last 20-some years, I had the privilege to be associated with the Officers Club, and we picked our judges from my fellow guys. We also picked from our homegrown, from the company, Chris Grudy. From the Hokies, we got Charlie Orth. My good friend up in Northumberland, Brian Craig, and his friend Brandon Traeger. We got Jackie and Jim Williams from Mount Carmel. I hope you can find your way home. We got the Juice, Tanari from Gerardville. John Mooch McNeilis from Mahoney City. One of my friends I met in the last couple of years, a transplant from Hamburg to Orangeburg, Timmy Wilheim. Jimmy Reed from Schuylkill Haven. And of course, our leader, Frank Zangari. He leads us in the good times and the bad. When I say the good, it's when the beer is flowing, and the bad is when he cuts us off. We also like to recognize the Borough Council. Anybody's here, please raise your hand. They were instrumental in helping us get this project moving forward. And we cannot forget, as they said before, Our Lady's Auxiliary, the people behind the scenes that keeps our food flowing. They're our auxiliary help with all of our fundraising activities. At this time also, we'd like to recognize the members of the American Hose Company. Current president, myself, Vice President Ed Goff, Financial Secretary Brian McCabe, Recording Secretary Tony Loftus, Treasurer Brandon Blank, Sergeant at Arms Brandon McDemus, and Trustees Ed Goff, Cody Wolfgang, and Randy Federoff. The company line officer that keeps the downstairs flowing. Captain is Bill Billis, First Captain Charlie Weisbeck. We must recognize that Charlie Weisbeck has left the scene. Charlie got his job transfer. He is now in Alabama. We thank him for all of his years of service. Second Lieutenant Brian McCabe, Sergeant Tony Loftus, Chief Engineer Ed Goff, Assistant Engineer Phil Grudy Jr. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. Please honor the barkeeper's rules. All glasses must be full at all times. We're going to shoot for 4 o'clock to give out the trophies. And we're going to right now step down onto the street for the official blessing of our new engine, 3811.
And right now, Chief 38, President of the American Hose Company, is going to christen engine 3811. Swing that bottle, Chief. Hit it a little harder. boy, Chief.